One of the most important concepts of human resource management is organizational effectiveness. Why? Because this is the ultimate purpose of any business function or any managerial function. Whether you're a finance student, marketing students, HR students, operations, the ultimate purpose of any function is to ensure that your business is successful. When we are using the word organizational success, which is a general term, it's a common man's understanding, but technically, professionally, we call it organizational effectiveness. So, but unfortunately, you will not find any organizational behavior textbook or any HR textbooks which exclusively dedicate this topic. That's one of the reasons why not much understanding happened amongst B school students. So, what I've done is I've tried to cull some material from various sources, put them together in this video. I'm sorry, in this PowerPoint slides. Okay. So, what's there in store for a topic called organizational effectiveness? There are at least five things we'll see. Why this topic is very important from the perspective of your of understanding case study, and then why this concept is very important for management students, particularly HR, and then how do we understand the concept of organizational effectiveness because that's our final pursuit in any specialization. Either you're an HR student or a marketing student, finance or operations for that matter, any supportive management. And then what determines organizational effectiveness? There could be many factors actually. Anything called antecedent or anything called causative factors, those could be brought under the purview of what we call determinants. There could be massive list of determinants, but we need to classify them. Therefore, it becomes meaningful for us to understand and start working towards those determinants. And there are various models which were suggested by some authors, and they're also thoroughly published. So sometimes when you have free time, you can just search on the internet or go to Google Scholar and search for what are those models of organizational effectiveness so that tomorrow on the job, you can adopt one of them suitable to your corporations and see that what contributes to the effectiveness. Even if you're HR student, let us say, from HR perspective, which facets of HR function or which aspects of HR activities could contribute to organizational effectiveness. Let's say, for example, when your employees are thoroughly engaged, do you think that contributes to effectiveness? So you can say employee engagement could be one of the major factors contributing to effectiveness. Likewise, any other aspect, participative management, where employees are encouraged to participate in decision making at all levels of management, right from shop level to the uh, board level. If you can encourage employees to participate in all levels, you think participating by the employees can contribute to effectiveness? You can identify this understanding from thorough reading. There's no substitute for reading, I always say. And then modify a model. If you cannot adopt it, you adapt it. Slightly change the model, you can adapt. So therefore, why we should study? As I told you, this is the ultimate variable of everybody's concern. And the top management, the governing boards, they give importance to this concept heavily. So therefore, if you want your organizations to be effective, in the due course, I'll explain you how to technically understand this word effectiveness. Though we knew that in previous trimesters also it was thoroughly discussed. If input output ratio is called efficiency, consistent efficiency is called effectiveness. That's called technical explanation. But more simplified definition of organizational effectiveness is the extent to which a business concern accomplishes the purpose for which it was designed. So, to what extent your organizations are successful or effective could be determined by the extent to which they fulfill their plans or accomplish their purposes. So, therefore, you can say highly effective, moderately effective, less effective, or ineffective based on the degree of success. So once you give importance to this concept, naturally you would also know that whether we should provide adequate resources to that concept called effectiveness. If you want your organization to be effective, more from a financial perspective, profitable, more from HR perspective, satisfied employees, more from marketing perspective, satisfied customers, more from operations perspective, suppliers are delighted, distributors are satisfied, somebody who supplies raw material to you are also satisfied. So from all functional areas, if all the stakeholders are satisfied, you can say your organization is highly successful. But there is also one critique on this concept. Though it is heavily financially leaned on, which means return on investment is one easy way of defining what is called effectiveness. You spend so much of money this financial year, what's the return? So for finance people, it's return on investment, which is the what you call the central dimension of effectiveness. But put it this way, you might have made profits, but your employees are still not happy. Do you think that organization is effective? You make profits, but still your consumers are not happy. Would you still call that organization effective? You make a lot of profits, you are still in the market, but there are a lot of complaints from the compliance side, that means from the government side. You still call that organization effective? So it's very difficult to define effectiveness only from one perspective. It has to be holistically understood. Therefore, the concept has attracted the owners of the business, owners of the firm. And not only that, even for the survival of your businesses, you have to give importance to this concept. And it also has its impact on the society. For example, why do we celebrate companies like Tata and Sons? Why? Why do we celebrate? Because they've created an impact on the society, right? And then if you want to go global, compete with global organizations, you have to give importance to this concept, right? So now with that, what we would do, we'll talk about what would its immediate impact. So number one, its immediate impact would be on worker management relationships. And if you are not comfortable with the word worker, we'll say employee management relationships. Then second, it satisfies all the stakeholders of the business. And third, it determines the future survival of any business. We know that Peter Drucker in 1964, I suppose, wrote a nice book called The Practice of Management. Earlier, I would ask every student to read that book before you quit. It's there in plenty, that copies. You can find at least 30-40 copies in our libraries. Just pick up The Practice of Management by Peter Drucker. It's a small handy book like a novel. Just read 20-30 pages per day. In a week's time, you can finish off. Entire gamut of management can be understood by reading that book by Peter Drucker. You know who is he? The father of modern management. And therefore, in that book, he talks about that there are two ultimate goals of any concern. That means any business or any organization. Number one, profit making. Number two, survival. These are the only concerns of any business today. And these are the only concerns of any organization today, including family. If family is an organization, if you want your families to be effective, they should give importance to profit making and survival. It's very tough to survive in these times, right? Because money determines many things. But we know that money doesn't come easily. You have to plan properly and work towards earning money. And then you should also know how to invest, because only through investment you can multiply money. So organizational effectiveness runs into so many dimensions. If you really want to make profits, then only you can survive. But if you really want to survive, you have to make profits. Both are intercorrelated positively. So that's why this concept, we place definitely heavy premium on this concept. And now we would move on to what this concept itself per se. What is this concept? The extent to which an organization with its given certain resources and means to achieve its objectives without placing heavy or without placing undue strain on its members. I didn't find any other concept so attractive or so comprehensive and so technically feasible as Georgopoulos and Mann. They were the first people to define what is called organizational effectiveness. So I would say they were the pioneers. So when a pioneer speaks, you can understand they would have invested heavily their time on this concept. So what they say, if you identify the key points from this definition, number one, to what extent your organization uh, achieves its objectives. To what extent your organizations achieve their objectives with given resources and means. So what do you mean by given resources? Finance, human resource, time, information, these are the resources. So with all those resources, and then what are the mechanisms, techniques, procedures, paperwork? That's all called means to achieve. And then finally, without strain on the members. That means your employees are not burnt out eventually. So therefore, so this concept is also presented from a perspective of consistent efficiency, which I talked about in the early part of the session. It's a ratio of input output, which is called productivity, which is also called efficiency, and consistent efficiency, which means the ratio is consistent on a regular basis. Let's say today you make 10 pieces. Tomorrow also you make 10 pieces for the same given time and resources. If you're consistently producing 10 pieces every day, that means it's called consistent efficiency. For 12 months, if your efficiency is consistent, at the end of the 12th month, I can declare that you are effective. That's why as a person, individually we have to become more effective on a day-to-day basis. At the end of the day, I introspect myself. How much have I contributed to my profession today? How much I have learned from that profession today? How much have I passed on the benefit to my stakeholders today? I keep answering these questions at the end of the day. How much work is still pending at the end of the day? That will show whether I'm consistently efficient. This is something which every one of us should learn. Cross check yourself at the end of the day. What did you do with your time? Many times I questioned this, right? Which I never found answer. You spent 8 hours in the college, remaining 8 hours for your eating, drinking, sleeping, entertainment, assignments. Then what did you do with the remaining 8 hours? That means you're sleeping 16 hours a day, right? So 8 full hours for yourself in the college or in your workplaces, 8 full hours for yourself, your sleeping, your eating, your oblations and all that. And then remaining 8 hours, what did you do? Only God knows. Nobody else would know. So imagine for 20 years you have lost your 8 hours. You would eventually become very serious from today how to regain that lost 8 hours. Plus, already you have 8 hours today. Your life will never be the same. So, organizational effectiveness is a very, very dynamic concept. How do you maximize the returns for your organization? By all means. That's why this concept is very expansive and also elusive. Elusive means which is not very, very clear because as I told you, finance people says it is my job. Why are you worried? Return on investment is my job. Why are you worried? Then I would say that you might have made a lot of money, but my employees are still unhappy. So I'm worried. My organization is not effective. Marketing people also worry because we made a lot of revenue, we generated a lot of revenue, we sold a lot, but still my customers are unhappy, complaints are piling up. So I'm concerned about this concept. Operations people concerned about this product, this concept, because if you're not producing quality of products, you're accountable to so many stakeholders. ISO fellows will come, they'll corner you. Government fellows will come, they'll corner you. So everybody's concern is only one concept, that is called organizational effectiveness. So unfortunately, I didn't do much research on this concept. That's the only concept I didn't do research. Otherwise, you name any OB topics, any HR topics, I have done research. My publications are the evidence and are all there on the internet. So where are we now? Finally, it's the end product of managerial policies, practices. When we talked about means, right? In the definition, when we say it's the means, resources and the means that you use. So the end product of uh, managerial policies, practices, your organizational structure, your technology, external environment, your employees' talents, and the climate, organizational climate. All these would contribute to effectiveness. After all, we said that you need a good climate, right? If there's no good climate, you will not have motivation to work. You will not have healthy relationships to work. So organizational climate is definitely important in this concept. I think now we will rush quickly and then conclude this topic. So let's get to the next point. What are the specific factors which we are talking about? Refreshing once again. What factors which contribute to organizational effectiveness? Most important, leadership. Leadership, I would say. Leadership strategies, leadership skills, and leadership styles. That's all leadership to begin with. Then the decisions made by the management. Then your organization's philosophy, the beliefs that you have, the values that you have, your organization's objectives and policies contribute to effectiveness. And not only that, the hierarchies, the organizational structures, the arrangements, roles, positions, relationships created also would have influence on effectiveness. And finally, no doubt today technology influences. I can create a PowerPoint file with 10 slides in just a minute. I have the text in a Word file. I'll ask, prepare 10 slides out of this Word file. I got it in next minute. Otherwise, I would have spent 1 hour, maybe half an hour, 1 hour max to prepare one slide. Last night, I was asked to speak for 15 minutes in a gathering, and 30-page document I have, 30 plus pages. So 30 plus pages document I have to present in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Is it possible? Impossible. My place, somebody would have said no. But I know I have this technology. That's my gift today. So I've got this gift. So what I did, I've submitted that 35-page PDF file and I said, can you synthesize without losing the essence of these 35 pages? Give me 10 important bullet points from these 35 pages. I got it. It has displayed all those 10 important points. Then I said, can you create a PowerPoint file out of these 10 bullet points? It gave me. That's how I went online and gave 15 minutes presentation. It's a videotaped. It's online, no, it's videotaped. So what I mean is, personally, that means individually you can be effective, group wise you can be effective, and your entire organization could be effective if you can leverage on this kind of emerging technologies. You have to be very good. HR students have to be thoroughly involved in technologies. Always be ready to accept technologies, because if you don't accept, it will replace your job. 25 years ago, I told HR people that if you don't learn what is called Java, that script will replace your jobs. It exactly happened. Many people have lost their jobs because they were not familiar with computers. They didn't know what is programming. Finish. JavaScript replaced their jobs. So AI thoroughly made inroads into HR functions. Now HRMS is more AI enabled today. That's one of the reasons why you would still be struggling for jobs. So tame it. AI in HRMS should be tamed. You have to take control over AI in HRMS. Then only you have your jobs. Okay. So now, who are these two guys which we're talking about all this time? Georgopoulos and Mann. As I told you, they were the gurus of this concept. They were the pioneers. But Paul Mott is one gentleman who wrote the world's first textbook on organizational effectiveness. I've read it. Unfortunately, I didn't get my hands on Georgopoulos and Mann. I tried my best to source for this book. Nowhere it is found. In the internet also, I didn't find this book. If anybody can find that PDF file, send it to me. I want to read that book before I quit my profession. Because these are the pioneers who defined. So wherever some references of their material in some journal articles, I read those material, but I didn't have thorough exposure to that book at all. Paul Mott, we have done good work. We have also utilized it. One of our colleagues earlier is not in our workplace today. He did his postdoctoral research on organizational effectiveness in Hyderabad industries. He used Paul Mott's concept. So that's the way I have access to some understanding. And then I read that book, Paul Mott's book, 1972. And after 1972, I did not find any textbook on organizational effectiveness. Besides that, I also didn't find it in any OB textbooks. There may be some textbooks, but I'm not sure. Now let's look at what Georgopoulos and Mann uh, view the concept of organizational effectiveness. So they have identified four important dimensions to understand what is organizational effectiveness. Number one, goal attainment. Number two, integration. Number three, adaptation. Number four, pattern maintenance. These are all, you can imagine, these words were used for the first time in 1967. What do you mean by goal attainment? They define it as authority structure. What is authority structure? It's leadership all about. So leadership contributes to goal attainment. Integration, how the morale of your employees. That means how much is the we feeling that employees have. So integration is understood as we feeling among employees. We all feel together for this company. That's called integration. Then adaptation is defined as productivity. Unless you get adapted to a work environment, I don't think you can be productive. That's the understanding. And then pattern maintenance. What is pattern maintenance? Anybody? There is a pattern in the society. You are supposed to maintain it. What is that pattern maintenance? Hyderabad has lost its pattern, I would say that. Why? Because the largest number of hospitals, if you could find anywhere in this country, it is in Hyderabad. What does it mean? It means Hyderabadis are sick, more illness, more patients. You understand? You understand like that? So how many business people should understand like that? I don't think. Oh, more hospitals means there's more potential for money. That's how business management will understand. But as a student of social science, will understand this way. This city is sick. More people are sickening. More people are prone to ill health. That's why hospital admissions are increasing. Therefore, inadequate beds and therefore more admissions. Now, hospital is a pattern maintenance organization. College is a pattern maintenance organization. What job am I doing? Pattern maintenance. So if there is no education, what happens? Young people will go astray. So if you look at Paul Mott's understanding, what Paul Mott said is Organizational effectiveness includes various dimensions like flexibility, quality and quantity of production or productivity, then prevalence of adjustment, then solutions, promotion of adjustment, anticipation of what's going to happen and be prepared for any eventuality, and finally efficiency. These are the dimensions of Palmat. And there are 4 dimensions of Georgopoulos and Mann we had talked about. So that's it. We go to the last one, last slide. Here there are various models. I have picked up one model from, I think, it could be Angel and Perry. They were the authors. You can search on the internet. 1972, I don't know, 1986, 87. Angel and Perry. Anybody? Two more. Angel, Angel, Perry. Angel and Perry. Or another combination of authors you can try. Steers, Steers. Steers and Mowday, Mowday. So, who are the right people? If you can find out from their dimensions, then we would know that whatever we are presenting today is belonging to one of those combinations. Is it Steers and Mowday's or Angel and Perry's model? No idea. So, in this model, we are trying to understand what are the causal variables, what are the intervening variables, and finally, what are the outcome variables of organizational effectiveness. So, in any model, we have to talk about cause and effect. So, causal model, in the causal side, you can see stress could be contributing to effectiveness. Anybody could explain how is it? Optimum stress and productivity. You remember that hypothesis? Less stress, less productivity.
Yes.
More stress, less productivity. Optimum stress, higher productivity. It's a bell curve.
Yes, sir.
So, inverted bell.
Statistics we use that one of bell curve diagram.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. Less stress, less productivity.
Yes, sir.
More stress, less productivity. Optimum stress, higher productivity. That's called curvilinear relationship in statistics. We have to use the correlation ratio statistical test to prove that hypothesis. So stress could be the contributor to productivity or organizational effectiveness, either in the negative or in the positive. Then motivation and morale among employees also would contribute to organizational effectiveness. If you're motivated, naturally you'll put efforts. If you put efforts, your performance happens. If your performance happens, productivity happens. If productivity happens, reward happens. Causal. Commitment among employees contributes to effectiveness. Conflict resolution contributes to effectiveness. Decision making and problem solving. So many antecedents or so many determinants are there that could contribute to effectiveness. But believe me, as I told you, not directly. They cannot directly contribute because Next level is intervening variables. So they together contribute to effectiveness. So what are those intervening? Number one, as I told you, leadership strategies, three types. Leadership strategies, skills, styles, then philosophy of organization, then organizational structure and technology. All these are called intervening variables. So which means statistically speaking, if you take one combination, stress into leadership strategies contributes to effectiveness. Motivation into leadership strategies and then effectiveness. That's what we call moderation or intervening. Stress into leadership, commitment into philosophy, performance into objectives, decision making into organizational structure, problem solving into technology. So unless you have multiplicative understanding, effectiveness does not happen according to this model. And how these gentlemen, Steers and Maude, I don't know who are these guys. Can you once again, anybody could find an answer? Who are these people? Propose this model. They they define organizational effectiveness from totally different perspective from others, which we talked about, like Paul Mott and Georgopoulos and Mon. So these guys talk about work management relationships, costs, sales, earnings, turnover. That's the way they're defining what is called organizational effectiveness. That's it from my side. If you have anything to ask for, any doubts, any clarifications, we can do it and then get ready for your presentations. Right?